You mentioned before people developing tactics for surviving this multiple attacker assassination type of thing. So what's a systemic approach that a person that okay, so if I get attacked by somebody in an unconventional way, what are the steps you would take them through, starting from observation to now this weird thing has been sprung on me. I mean, you're probably not telling people they're going to survive unscathed, being jumped by multiple people that have the intent to kill you. So, I mean, how do you survive something like that?
Well, look, we study successful survivors, right? So as much as we can, we ask people who witness these things or been experienced these things directly, and we try to extract as much as we can, and we try to simulate. Right now, no simulation is 100% real, but we can certainly get some good ideas, and then we can get in there and you can practice. First, I would think is to recognize so that you're not taken totally by surprise. The less surprised you are, the more you can prepare. Right. Also, it saps his will to attack you because he might be threatened by you. The reason he's coming in sneakily is that you might be a threat to him too. Right. So he wants to have a 100% clear field before he launches his attack. The less certain he is, the less committed he is, the more likely he is to break off. So better for you, right? Also, you teach people that you don't know. You have to be very comfortable with uncertainty. You have to physically, emotionally, intellectually embrace that uncertainty. You have to understand. Can you give me 1 minute to try to explain an idea?
Please do, yeah.
You're driving along, right? I haven't thought about this in a while, so forgive me if I'll try not to ramble. You're driving along, something happens, oh my gosh, and you grab the steering wheel, and and you survive that situation, you get past it, and you don't know how, right? You barely survived it, you made all the right moves in the moment, right? And there's this blankness, you can't quite remember, or someone attacks you, you do something, and this guy's on the ground, and you don't know how he got there, you don't know what you did, right? Now, if you look at it from an African point of view, this is kind of how they are taught to think about combat. From a Western point of view, we start with all the intellectual basics, and we build this ideal structure, and then we say, well, now when the real thing happens, it's going to be nothing like what you did in sparring or in kata, but you'll figure it out.
Right.
From an African point of view, you know what I mean,
yeah.
Right? From an African point of view, they say, look, stuff's going to happen in the moment, and you will respond in the moment emotionally as follows, and the techniques will create themselves in response to what's coming in. They start from the other end and they work their way towards techniques. And you'll find that the typical gangster only has 3 or 4 techniques, maybe 5, maybe 3 or 4 is typical. So a gang of 10 guys has 40 techniques, but it's not like they have a system. Each guy has 3 or 4 of his own techniques to suit his temperament, his build, his preferences. So what happens is when you have an incoming stimulus, right, when the movement is beyond a certain, your neocortex, your forebrain, is able to cope with incoming stimuli up to about roughly 1/4, 1/5 of a second. That's your hand-eye coordination limit. Fighter pilots have up to 1/8 of a second, right? But below that, your forebrain can no longer cope. It sends that signal, then gets handled by your cerebellum, which is able to spot and deal with stimuli up to 13 thousandths of a second. It is able to see and then predict and then respond. Now, the more experience that you have, as you gain experience, you build what's called a database of associative coherence. And this is how your brain deals with uncertainty. Now, as we provide you with training, that database of associative coherence slowly, over time, it builds up experience. It's able to make connections in parallel, right? Now, if you consider that when that thing happens, you go blank. You can't remember quite what happened. And afterwards, you've got a fragmentary recollection, a word here, a bit of feeling, an image, because this part of your brain, your forebrain, is unable to cope. Remember, this one is moving at thousands of times faster than this one, right? So all that this gets, so this guy takes over, he goes into your database of associative coherence, comes up with a solution, not the best solution, the first workable solution, which will give you something to work from, right? Then it hands over to the forebrain and says, how are we doing? Take a snapshot. Then there's that snapshot, it hands back. How are we doing? Snapshot, hands back. action, snapshot, action, snapshot. That's why you only have these fractions of insight. So the point is, I teach people how to engage that part of the brain consciously. And once you can consciously engage it by me attacking you at random, giving you random attacks, putting you into that situation where you have no idea what's coming, but I'm going to attack you nasty and hard and fast, and I mean I'm coming in hard and fast, you will cope. You will deal with it, and you will gain that confidence because you realize if you are able to consciously access that function in your brain, you can actually deal with these things. Prior to that, though, I teach people how to balance, how to work off balance, how to deal with being unstructured and off balance. So first, they cope with that because your skin is your fastest organ. Your skin's way faster than your eyes. Your skin is your organ of balance, not your ears. Your ears are the organ of balance for your head. So what we want to say is if you feel the pressure on your feet shifting, you know something's happening. This is wrong. It's coming in too fast. I've got contact on the skin. This guy fires up. Wham! He goes into action, does something appropriate, gets data, goes back in. That database starts working overtime, and eventually you work your way as a series of steps to a solution. I'll stop there.
Awesome. No, that's so interesting. This is exactly the type of thing that I find so intriguing and interesting now because it's all, I mean, so much of my training, it's been the, like you said, that where you're starting with techniques and then you try to get through this process into where the form falls away and you're able to improvise in that moment.
Yep.
But the way that you just broke it down, I hope people that are watching are finding that as interesting as I am.